Being mysterious in the rap game has become an epidemic that is slowly plaguing the music industry and all of its artists. Metro Boomin, one of the most iconic producers in hip-hop, shed some light on this phenomenon recently on Twitter, stating, "The fake mysterious with artists is ruining the game." Obviously, he expressed his concerns regarding the future of music if every single rapper refused to participate in the media or even communicate with their fans whatsoever. But isn't that the whole point of remaining mysterious? The elusive nature of being a rapper and or celebrity whose life is only described in lyrics to the music they create and release to fans every so often. Why else would fans listen to the music if they already know everything about them? Or does constant communication only enhance the bond between the rapper and the listener? Today, we find out. Being mysterious is based on a simple economic concept of supply and demand. A brand like Rick Owens is exclusive and does not have much supply. Therefore, the demand for their product goes up without marketing because people want what they cannot have. Whereas other brands like Vlone and Gucci dilute their brand by saturating the market and lose relevance because anyone can get their shirts, granted with the slightly marked up prices. And because of this, brands like Rick Owens, among others, demand a much higher price tag. And even better yet, for its buyers, they can resell it for a profit. That is, if they don't completely destroy the apparel. It's the exclusivity that sells. One could say the quality may not even be any better than its competitors, but the brand's products hold much more value since there is such a low supply. Each piece of clothing represents more than just material. It represents an idea, wealth, creativity, mystery. Similarly, musical artists employ this very same strategy, whether they do it on purpose or not. Except their product is their music and likeness. Therefore, to create the mystique they are so after, they must also resonate the same exclusivity or rareness as Rick Owens and the other exclusive brands. In the ages before music, this was easy because there was no such thing as Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or social media as a whole. Fans didn't really have access or even the capability of living vicariously through a celebrity's life through a screen. So, most artists and celebrities exuded this bigger-than-life personality since they could control whatever content was released to the masses. And while they still do nowadays in the age of social media, most succumb to the easy clicks from just posting a quick selfie or Instagram story. It definitely has value because connecting with fans in a much more personal manner builds a deeper connection, but some have taken a different approach. One of the first examples of a rapper whose brand was completely built off mystique was the late MF Doom. He was a London-born artist who wore a mask resembling that of supervillain Dr. Doom, arch-enemy of the Fantastic Four, never showing his face publicly throughout his career. The mystery of his identity allowed him to differentiate himself from all the other rappers who love the thrill of the spotlight, as well as to fully separate his personal life from his artistic persona, as being a rapper and celebrity can put their family in danger. No one even knew of his medical ailments that eventually took his life until the day he passed. In fact, it was rumored that Doom sent lookalikes to wear his mask on stage and perform instead of himself on a few occasions, a concept that masked DJs and electronic music use to this day to be able to perform worldwide within the same week. He explained in one of his last interviews that the mask represented a lion against the industry's push to make hip-hop about artists' image rather than the actual music. Therefore, Doom wanted to be discreet with how he looked, so that his listeners were fans of his music, not just because of the extravagant lifestyle and aesthetic that rappers typically boast in their music and online, something that potentially takes precedence in the current music landscape. And because of his impact, he is frequently known as your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. Playboi Carti even referenced MF Doom in his famous track off Whole Lotta Red, Stop Breathing, so there is no doubt that Carti even utilized his strategies in some way to yield similar results. And as we'll discuss soon, he was definitely successful in his own right. Not to mention, confirms that one of hip-hop's favorite rappers in current times was a fan of MF Doom, one of the pioneers of mysterious rappers. Kendrick Lamar is another artist who is quite private. In an interview with Citizen Mag, he said that he doesn't want to become wrapped up in being famous. Rather, he wants to use attention to promote his music. And due to how he carries his artistry, his projects are undoubtedly seen as more of a cultural shift in hip-hop, displaying deeper messages than most of his peers. Obviously, his music alone holds the majority of his impact, but the mystery of his personal life definitely enhances it, something a lot of upcoming artists can learn from. Kanye has done relatively same with his image, although perhaps because he emerged as a mainstream rapper in the time when radio and larger publication ruled marketing in the music industry. Because he definitely hasn't been shy in attracting attention with his controversial statements on TV and social media to this day.
So thank you so much for giving me a chance to win a VMA award.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time.
But the way he utilizes his Instagram and Twitter in recent times have been more of just a place for him to express his thoughts and concerns about the world, rather than show the world what he is doing at that very point in time. Most of the content we receive about Ye is from blogs and publications showcasing extravagant outfits and quotes that he mentioned in interviews. Not to mention, his fanbase was one of the very first to really popularize leaking unreleased tracks and information due to how little he provided, even scrapping entire albums on the day of their announced release dates, such as the entirety of the Lost Yandhi recording sessions, Jesus is King 2, and much of Donda and Donda 2's creative process. Kanye attempts to perfect the curation of his image before it's released to the public, always keeping the fans wanting more. Frank Ocean is yet another example and potentially the most elusive artist in the game. There are entire Instagram pages dedicated to finding photographs of him, snippets of his music, and anything that he's created, due to the almost 10-year and counting hiatus he's taken away from the spotlight. And he doesn't seem to be anywhere close to dropping more music anytime soon. Yet still, while only having 2 official projects out as we speak, the impact of these albums have exceeded far past expectations. In fact, prior to his career as a performing artist, he was a songwriter behind some of the largest names in the industry, such as Beyonce and Justin Bieber. The label executives didn't believe he had what it took to make it big. Obviously, he proved them wrong, but even with such a bright career ahead of him, he secludes himself in a rather regular life. In an interview, Frank Ocean once said that being mysterious meant you have to be comfortable with making less money. And for this very reason, Frank has a dedicated group of fans who will continue streaming his music, buying his products, and support any of his work for the rest of his life. And last, but certainly not least, Playboi Carti, the go-to example in recent hip-hop, who undertook his elusive nature long before the fame. Funny enough, an old interview featuring Lil Uzi Vert by his side recently resurfaced showcasing Carti in 2017 before he even released his first official mixtape self-titled.
Jim, what's your question?
When is your tape dropping?
Yeah, for real. This big, I don't even know how he famous.
Come clean, please.
He ain't even got no tape. How the fuck is you famous?
Look. Come clean for the people.
Honestly, y'all, I didn't come in the game trying to make a mixtape.
That shit whack. That's what it is. He won't drop it because it's whack.
My mixtape too fire. I just been listening to other dudes' tapes and shit. You know,
stealing up a nigga swag.
I ain't missing out on nothing. It's lit. When it comes, it's gonna be lit.
Are you gonna drop an album?
Yeah, back to back.
Okay, great.
Back to back. On my future shit.
Yet somehow, likely due to all the affiliations he already acquired in his short term in the industry, he still encapsulated a massive cult-like following starving for music, even though his discography really only consisted of a handful of tracks. Even Uzi joked about how Carti orchestrated his career in this clip, but obviously, it paid off. And then some. Because now, the stronghold he has over his fan base has only grown. He has effortlessly maintained his secretive identity throughout the years, delaying album release dates, quite literally lying in a few cases, to the point where, similar to Kanye, fans have taken it upon themselves to illegally obtain his music and leak it to the public. And these leaks only perpetuated the mystery behind his brand, some of them even topping the Spotify charts under a false name, in the process increasing his popularity tenfold. The only time fans really hear anything from Carti himself are from written interviews where he can carefully curate the narrative, such as leaving out important context and heavy statements regarding the direction of his upcoming music and even sexual orientation. He's even crafted his own symbolic written language and aesthetic, utilizing symbols and unorthodox capitalization of words in his tweets. Gathering any information from Carti has almost become a game of sorts, and that every move he makes has turned into a clue of what's to come. And because of this, he holds all the power, and dare I say, some of the most in comparison to his competitors. So much in fact, that his newly created label Opium and all the artists it consists have even benefited and adopted the same ideology to much success. But all this comes with a price. For now, any move he makes, even the most simple of photographs or even deep fakes, catches the public spotlight. But on a more positive note, by being so rare, he basically has complete control over the upcoming generation of hip-hop, waiting years for their godlike figure to shift the genre in a new direction like he already has in the past. Carti was one of the first artists to use social media in the exact opposite manner that it was invented, by straying away from virtually posting every moment of one's life, and surely reaps the rewards of his mystery. As mentioned, Carti has even taught his mysterious ways to some of his label signees, Carson and Destroy Lonely. They've gained major followings by capping about release dates, infrequent posts on their social media, and when they do, from a secret account or lesser known social media like Tumblr, cryptic tweets, and overall remaining super private. The newer artists on Opium have succeeded since mystery has become synonymous with their brand, which many upcoming artists cannot afford while they attempt to build a strong following. Lil Darkie, a more underground rapper, also utilizes mystery in his branding, in that his identity is purely a cartoon character seen rapping his lyrics in animated music videos. He very much follows the approach of MF Doom when portraying himself to his audience, using a character as his mask. However, he did finally reveal his face in 2021, yet continued releasing animated music videos in addition to minimal coverage of his real face. But since the face of his character was already ingrained into fans' minds, it didn't really affect the trajectory of his career whatsoever. On the contrary, it likely acted as a necessary step of progression regarding his relationship with his fan base. But because his music and character served as the forefront of his brand originally, similar to MF Doom, he knew his fans were there for him, rather than for superficial reasons. Hardrock is yet another recent example of a brand built entirely off mystery. Still relatively an underground artist, his music started to rise in early 2022 on YouTube and SoundCloud. However, as soon as he started to gain some traction, he disappeared with no explanation. Though sporadically it seemed, he would still release music on SoundCloud with no mention on social media, and fans ate it up, ever increasing anticipation for when he finally took his career seriously. Speculation surrounding signing to Playboi Carti's Opium label, among other affiliations like Ian Connor, started to spread on Reddit simply due to the lack of information that existed online about him, the exact Opium formula. But about a year later, Ian Connor finally cleared up the rumors by tweeting a text conversation with his management, hinting that his hiatus from social media wasn't an act like most believed. He was simply in the military, more specifically in the Navy at an offshore base. Pretty fair reasoning as to why he wasn't active online. Soon after, Hardrock returned with an album, One of One, with production from Benny X, Filthy, and other large industry producers, in addition to collaborating with Alik's founder, Matthew Williams, on his compilation album, even walking for Givenchy's Paris Fashion Week Spring-Summer 2024 runway showcase. But Hardrock's inadvertent mystery, followed up by such impactful moves in the industry, was the perfect combination to set up his career to the point where whether he's active or not, fans will still be captivated. But as with most things in life, the grass is always greener on the other side. All these success stories are painting an easy marketing strategy that seemed too good to be true, and that's because it is. All the Opium artists, among other examples, aside from Carti that is, created a cult fan base with frequent music releases and then backtracked into the shadows. The mysterious persona typically only works when the artist slowly accustoms their fan base to a standard cadence and then pulls away when the fans want the music the most. And similarly, when an artist hasn't become relevant enough or acquire enough fans or hype surrounding their career, they will simply be forgotten, especially in the age of social media with hundreds or even thousands of other aspiring artists fighting for that exact spot. Not to mention the speed at which music is consumed nowadays, with mainstream album announcements occurring nearly every Friday. In summary, artists who try to be mysterious too soon lose all momentum after a viral moment. And in these cases, attempting to be mysterious has large repercussions. SoFaygo is unfortunately the most recent example of an artist who had it made, but was never able to surpass the underground due to losing all momentum when trying to be mysterious. In late 2019, Faygo released an album, After Me, including the track Off the Map. that arguably assisted in pioneering the new rage subgenre of rap to flourish in the following years and launch his career into major label conversations. Travis Scott, Trippie Redd, and Lil Uzi Vert, among other mainstream rappers, showed their support on their Instagram stories, teasing that he would be one of the next artists to make a wave. In fact, as we all know, SoFaygo ended up signing to Travis Scott's Cactus Jack record label. And soon after, with all the cosigns he needed to make it big as well as a trending song on TikTok, collaborated with Lyrical Lemonade to showcase the visuals for Knock Knock. Apple Music even featured SoFaygo on the cover of their newly announced Up Next playlist. Everything was falling into place. But as mentioned, his career took a turn for the worst. For the next 2 years, fans patiently awaited SoFaygo to capitalize on all the clout he had gained. He previewed a new track, Let's Lose Our Minds, on Instagram with particularly feminine mannerisms that reached 1 million views in a few days. His fan base was ready for him to finally break through to the mainstream, as every artist signed to Cactus Jack already has. However, for some reason, he refused to drop any music. Some argued that Travis Scott's controversy during the Astroworld Festival was the reason, and since he got signed to his label, he didn't want any negative attention drawn to his album before he really took off. But regardless, by the time he eventually released his long-awaited first debut studio album, Pink Hearts, all the attention he had once owned in the underground space already found other artists to support. No one seemed to care about SoFaygo's music anymore. No matter the quality, the momentum was completely gone. And thus, SoFaygo by far has become the poster child for the drawbacks of the Mysterious Act. It can definitely build more hype and anticipation behind future releases, but without the initial momentum and discography to back it up, fans will soon forget. Roddy Ricch had a similar story, except he had actually succeeded in reaching the mainstream before leaving the spotlight. In late 2019, his song The Box was inescapable, listed at #1 on Billboard's US Hot 100 songs for 11 weeks straight. And following his lead single, his album was a massive success, surpassing 100,000 copies sold within its first week. The newly emerged R&B and hip-hop artist had one of the most promising careers following his debut. However, instead of releasing another project to capitalize off the fame soon after breaking the charts, similar to SoFaygo, he waited another 2 years to drop his sophomore album with disappointing results. Once again, with such a long break, fans stopped caring. They followed the hundreds of fresh artists that came up during this time period. Roddy Ricch only confirms the notion that even after reaching the top, artists can't step off the gas, at least until they solidify their fan base for the long term. So overall, proven by all the examples we've discussed thus far, being mysterious has pros and cons. It just depends on the circumstances. It has certainly elevated artists' careers when executed correctly, but completely destroyed others who tried to seclude themselves too early. Which leads us to Yeat, an artist who really only started gaining traction early 2021, and since then taken the world by storm. He has essentially implemented the exact opposite strategy as SoFaygo and Roddy Ricch by dropping project after project, some would say oversaturating the market, all the while consistently remaining in headlines for various accomplishments and memes. He feeds his fans, hosts his own tours, and is still successful without being mysterious. Although as of late, he has definitely started to shift a bit into the shadows while he rolls out his next highly anticipated project, 2093. However, in his case, this may actually be the right move, because he has already built such a deep discography of over 6 projects on all streaming platforms that even if he were to take a break, his fans have more than enough music to revisit. Not to mention, recently featured on Drake's For All the Dogs album, competing for the most streamed song in the world against all-time great J. Cole on the same project. And so of course, with more fame and eyeballs on your every move, he does have to be more selective with his actions, such as more highly produced teaser videos for his upcoming project on a burner account that only true fans follow, and solely written interviews discussing his alien abduction as a child. It is in this strategic content that keeps the fans guessing whether or not he is actually releasing any music. He has almost taken a page out of Playboi Carti's book and always keeping the fans guessing as to what's going to happen next. And he surely succeeded. In 2023, he was recorded as the number 35 most streamed rap artist globally, unexpectedly above much more established artists such as Trippie Redd. Yeat stands as an artist that has played out his career almost perfectly, flooding the market with his music, and gradually, now that he's cultivated a strong fan base, fading back into mystery. So with all this being said, I think it's quite apparent that being mysterious is a tool rappers and artists should use, but at the right time. Many new artists break their music on TikTok and instead of capitalizing, become inactive and mysterious, thinking their music will continue to go viral due to their past success. And maybe this isn't necessarily because they are trying to be mysterious, rather it's because they are scared of the results on the next release, since now they have to follow up with music that is bigger and better. However, in my opinion, this is ruining music. Whether or not they are trying to replicate the results of successful mysterious artists like Playboi Carti and the like, they're essentially killing any chance to keep the momentum going that they had. In the early stages, artists must feed the fans content to keep them interested, or they will find somebody else. So to prevent the music game from being infected with this mysterious rapper epidemic, we need more music creators to continue creating new sounds, experimenting, and above all else, dropping music.